Welcome into the Thunder basketball universe. This episode, we are dedicating to several guys. And these guys, they have been at work so hard this season. They brought us so many cool moments and memories, highlights, stats. So we have to talk about them. It's Ousmane Dieng, it's Keyontae Johnson, Adam Flagler, and Olivier Sarr.
The guys that helped bring you the OKC Blue 2024 G League champions.
Yeah. These guys.
Yeah, we got to celebrate the G League champs.
100%.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different moments from this season that we have to kind of uncover with these guys. And Nick, I know you called a few G League games, so I'm really curious your thoughts on these guys and the time that they spent with the Blue. But let's start with our stat of the season. And this one we're dedicating to Ousmane Dieng here.
Yes.
What stat did you choose for Uz?
I chose 25%, and that is his usage rate when he was with the Oklahoma City Blue this season. In comparison, it's about 12% when he's with the Thunder.
Wow.
And so that goes to show basically what the Thunder organization has been able to do with Ousmane is get the ball in his hands a lot more.
Yeah.
Usage rate, for those who don't know, is basically the number of possessions that a player uses in a game. So, or the percentage of possessions. So that's either by scoring, by assisting, by turning the ball over, by going to the free throw line, et cetera, et cetera. For the Thunder, with a player as young as Ousmane, who's just 21, like getting him as many opportunities to go out there, play with the ball, effectively be the point guard for this Blue team as they went on this massive run, and he ended up becoming the G League Finals MVP. Like having him in those situations was critical to his development. And
to your point, Coach Dagnall said, like, it's hard to tell because he's not getting, a bunch of minutes with the Thunder, but he is a better player now than he was last season. And it's because of the time and the minutes that he's getting with the OKC Blue. My stats for Uz, stats, plural, 25 and 6. And that's the stat line that he had, points and rebounds in the G League final. That last game that won the Blue that G League final championship, and what earned Uz that G League Finals MVP. And if you didn't know, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch our podcast that we did with Uz following that championship. I think of Uz and I think of versatility and his ability to kind of impact the game on a multitude of levels. So for him to have a 25-point outing was like really, really cool to see.
It was awesome to just see him get rewarded for all the hard work, all of the sacrifice. I mean, this is a guy that's a former number 11 pick in the NBA
That's
draft.
Right.
There are some people, human beings, that would not have the humility to do what Ousmane has done. He and the Thunder recognized early on from drafting him that he was on a sort of a different arc and timeline than some of the other guys. I mean, you think about some of the players that were drafted. If you just for comparison's sake, J-Dub had played 3 college seasons. Ousmane had played 6 months of professional basketball in a foreign country before he came to the Thunder. So this was going to be a different arc and path for Uz. But in his end of season interview, Sam Presti said he's really excited to see the growth from Uz and that he has really been hitting his development work hard already here in the offseason.
Our Made You Look, we are dedicating to Keyontae Johnson, one of the Thunder's two-way players. And this is as a rookie, there's just a lot being thrown at you. Yeah. And the thing that made me look is all of that, everything being thrown at Keyontae, spending time with the G Leagues, a little bit of time with the Thunder, rewarded very early on because he was named to the G League Next Up game during All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. And so he got a chance to represent the Blue with all of like the top G League players around the league. And I just thought that was such a cool moment for Keyontae.
It's such great reward for a guy who kept his head down and did his job his entire rookie season. Late second round pick, obviously had so much that he's gone through in his life and his career, was all SEC, all Big 12, and then he comes and they're like, hey, we're going to park you for development minutes. He was one of the best players in all of the G League all season and showed that with that appearance at the All-Star Weekend.
And had a great time. His family came up and got to enjoy it as well. So that was just a really cool moment that made me look for Keyontae this season. What made you look?
There was a game during the absolute gauntlet that was the month of January for the Thunder.
I don't even remember it, honestly.
Yeah, well, I do. And the Thunder came back from the East Coast to play on the second night of a back-to-back back here in Paycom Center against the Portland Trail Blazers. And you may remember that game was won on a J-Dub game winner.
That's right, yes.
And that was a really, really difficult game for the Thunder to
Mm-hmm.
win. They just did not have any juice for most of that game. And, first half, it wasn't first quarter, but it was first half somewhere. Mark Daigneault turns to the bench and says, Keyontae. And, I'm sitting right there courtside. And I remember Keyontae getting to the scorer's table. And the only thing that Mark said to him as he was about to check in, he just said, energy. Keyontae goes out on the floor. One of the very first plays out there, he scraps, snaps up, a loose defensive rebound, steal, whatever you want to call it. He won a possession for the Thunder just with energy, just with effort. And he's a two-way player. He's about 6'5".
Yeah.
He's built like a tank. And obviously I'm not comparing these two players, but there was just this moment of like, oh my gosh, this is how Lou Dort's career started too.
Yeah.
It started with go get in there, go get in the game, and go get us a loose ball. And just do what you got to do with energy.
Yeah.
And for Keyontae to have the maturity on the second night of a back-to-back on a really hard road trip, the first time he's ever experienced this type of travel, to be able to go and do that, I really love that moment.
Well, and it speaks to also, like, during that stretch of January, the Thunder were looking for energy anywhere they could find it, right? Like, there's so many games, so many back-to-backs, so much travel on the road, late nights, early arrivals, and it gets to be such a grind. And at that point, it was also like, look, we're going to use some more guys too. Mm-hmm. Just some fresh legs, some more energy, and Keyontae delivering when his name was called. Professionalism and maturity, so much poise from the two-way rookie. All right, let's get into Bless Your Timeline. This one we're dedicating to both Adam Flagler and Olivier Sarr. I'm going to go first here. Okay. This one, I believe I used this exact same moment in another podcast, but it's Adam barking in a post-game interview for the first time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll remember this.
You
were there.
Yeah, I remember. I do remember. Yeah.
I think it was Chet. Yes, it was Chet who you were interviewing.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't answer a question. He would not answer the question until Adam barked.
Yes, that's true. We had a preemptive bark. It wasn't a bark at the end. It was a
no,
bark at the beginning.
It was look, you're coming in here and you're gonna bark, sir.
Yeah.
And Adam, to his credit, awesome bark.
Yeah.
Stoic face,
really solid.
just like totally straight face, barked into the microphone, and then proceeding with the interview, Chet Holmgren. And then, like half an answer later, Shay
slides in and barks too.
And so like that probably was like the best barking interview we've had.
Well, and it was such a beautiful encapsulation of like, this is the guy that's finishing second in the MVP voting.
Yes.
Who's participating in the same thing that this two-way player who's hardly played a lick of a minute for the Thunder all season. And it was a new two-way player.
Yeah.
To that point. Great point. And they're all participating in the same thing. And this goes back to this vibe and collectiveness that this Thunder team had that was just so special.
And also, like, Adam was in street clothes. Like, it was very clear he did not play in that game at all. But here he is, arm in arm with these guys in this walk-off interview, participating in this lovely, beloved, awesome tradition of barking at Nick Gallo in walk-off interviews. Okay, what blessed your timeline?
This was a game that I got to call for the OKC Blue at home here against the Birmingham Squadron.
Whoa.
And at Paycom Center. Olivier Sarr went for 22 points and 26 rebounds.
I remember this stat line. It was all over Instagram and Twitter. It was like, oh my gosh, 22 and 26. That's crazy.
Dominant performance. Olivier was a walking double-double in the G League all season long. He's a organization guy, a system guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, sadly, suffered a really rough injury at the end of the season in the G League finals, but he did help the OKC Blue win the G League championship. So, our thoughts out to Olivier as he's recovering from injury, but congratulations on being part of such a special season and being such a huge contributor in that.
Another guy who just like did his job, went out there, whatever was asked of him, that's what he was going to go do. And I remember like he's a great rim protector, great energy, great bounce, and his ability to just block shots left and right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Also, some really cool French connection with him and Ousmane Dieng just throughout the season. Both of those guys, obviously 7 feet tall. And like the connection with Ouz. over there to Olivier.
Yeah.
Like there was some really
There were
cool
some lobs between those two guys. It was really, really proficient in terms of that middle pick and roll. Yeah.
Super fun to watch and great stuff from this G League season from Olivier Sarr. And there's just so much from these guys all in general. But that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much to our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.